Hi, and welcome to the second video edition of Reading Tea Leaves. I am John Ross, and this is where I take your stock picks and I run them through my brew of technical, sentiment, and macroeconomic tea leaves so I can let you know what I think of the stock and where I think it's heading. Now, this is also a chance that I can share with you part of my morning routine and my workday, and that is the type of tea that I'm drinking. So today's stock, Chart Industries, ticker symbol GTLS, and today's tea was inspired by the same subscriber who wrote in telling me not only is he curious to see what I think about GTLS, but also that he makes his own tea. Now, this tea he's talking about is called Yaupon Holly. And Yaupon Holly, it's a tree. It's not really a tea because it doesn't come from the tea plant, Camellia sinensis. And so all tea, so the green teas, the black teas, the oolongs, the pu'ers, all those teas come from the same plant, and the only difference is how they're processed, where they are grown, that sort of thing. Anything that's not from that plant is technically not a tea. So it could be an herbal blend, it could be something different like a yerba mate, which I've talked about in Reading Tea Leaves before, and I will be doing that again soon, I'm sure. But this Yaupon Holly, it's actually in the same genus as the yerba mate, and so it's a tree, it's a plant, it's a leaf that contains caffeine and some polyphenols, a lot like tea. So it has a lot of the same benefits as tea, a lot of the similar characteristics, but not technically a tea. Now, Doug says Yaupon grows in the southeastern part of the United States. It's indigenous to this area. And so Doug is in Texas. He said it grows wild there. It also grows wild here in Florida, which is where the tea was produced that I'm drinking this morning. So Doug, he says he drinks a mixture of spearmint and Yaupon, which sounds pretty good and probably resembles a little bit of the natural characteristics of yerba mate. But again, don't want to get too far down that. Yaupon Holly, Yaupon tea, actually traces its roots and its use all the way back to Native Americans many years ago. And so it was kind of used as a medicinal drink, as Doug noted in his email to me. And it is one of maybe only two trees in North America that contains caffeine. So it's a very good substitute for a coffee or one of the teas that are higher on the caffeine level, like a black tea. So it's a good substitute there. Now, this green Yaupon that I'm drinking this morning, it's very smooth. It has a subtle sweet taste, not so sweet that you think it's been sweetened, but it's a sweet vegetal taste. But the neat thing is, it smells like a green banana. It doesn't taste like bananas at all, so if that's not your thing, don't worry there. But it smells a little bit like a green banana. It's very strong, but also somewhat of a pleasant smell at the same time. That's at least what I'm getting from it, and I really do enjoy it. One final thing about it, I brewed just a sachet of Yaupon in one of those vacuum insulated like pint cups that you can travel with, and I let it just steep in there for probably 2 hours before I ended up coming back and drinking it, and it was absolutely delicious. Yaupon is like yerba mate, is one that you can re-steep in it, or you can steep it for as long as you want, and it's not going to become bitter or astringent like a black tea or a green tea that you overbrew or you over infuse. So really a neat find here. Doug, thanks for writing in. I was planning to go up the road about 2 hours from where I live. There's a place that produces this. I was planning to go up there in person, but now that we're kind of on lockdown, I decided I would order some last week and got some of that in. Very happy with it. Yaupon Holly tea, if any of you all are interested in that. Now, let's jump to a chart of Chart Industries. So this is our daily chart of Chart Industries. Again, two of the very common indicators that I look at when I'm looking at any stock are the 200-day moving average and the 14-day RSI. The 200-day is the blue line running across the black line, which is the price of Chart Industries, and then the red line at the bottom is the RSI. So you can see that Chart Industries was bumping up against resistance at its 200-day moving average before the market the bottom fell out of the market. And so you can see how this stock just completely plummeted along with the market in February and March, and bottomed with the market at the end of March and has rallied since April. Now, it's been on a nice little rally since April, about 90% or so from the bottom to the recent highs. So Doug, of course, wants to know, what I think of the stock. Can it hold these levels? Can it hold above its lows in the next 6 months? Probably not going to recover its highs, or its recent highs anyway, in that amount of time. But let's take a look. So way below its 200-day moving average. So just a sign that this, traders aren't so confident, or investors aren't very confident in this stock. And the RSI trading just below 50 came up and tested that. So that suggests that if we don't see Chart Industries retake that 50 level on the RSI, then trading is just too weak here, and it won't be able to hold on to its gains. Now let's look at using some of the AMP setups that I like to look at. I like to look at these 3-wave moves, right? So if I drew in an ABC on this rebound we've seen, I would draw the C wave in somewhere up here, and that's because based on that's the 8 o'clock opening futures bell. Based on the Fibonacci extension tool, the end of that C wave, if it were to match 100% of the A wave, would come in somewhere up here around 36.30 per share on GTLS. Now, you can see that after coming up, testing this 61.8% extension level, GTLS is trading back lower again. Now, that doesn't mean it's going to roll over here. It doesn't mean it's going to fall. But it does suggest we might be at a point where this extension could fail. We might not reach that 100% extension. Now, a lot of things in play here, but want to look at just one similar pattern in the recent past to suggest why maybe GTLS will fail here. Now, that 61.8% extension, that's a common level to look at. So we tend to see if a stock is to roll over at that level, it tends to correspond with a test of the recent high. So it tests through there, but simply couldn't hold. Okay, so we saw something similar from GTLS. If we were to draw in an extension from this move, where it found resistance at the 200-day, corrected, and then went on to rise again, it also failed here at a test of the recent high and at that 61.8% level. So a similar fake out breakdown pattern that we saw back at the beginning of the year from GTLS. Now, what happens is we tend to see this as a common occurrence in an individual stock. For example, when I followed gold many years ago, we would get a lot of these fake out breakouts at this 61.8% extension level. This point where I was expecting gold to take off and extend wave A in wave C, but it never did, and it just failed. And there was these series of fake out breakout failures in gold that just led to kind of this stair-stepping decline or downtrend. So want to keep this in mind as we look at GTLS here, as we look at its potential to rally. Now, if it did, if it does continue to rally, that 36.16, 36.30 target is, it's not that far away. It's not unreasonable to see it rally to there. However, this is happening at a time when the broad market is really vulnerable here as far as the levels where the broad market is trading. A look at the S&P 500 to me suggests it's only a matter of days before we roll over and we get another drawdown, another leg down in the S&P 500, in the NASDAQ, across the broad stock market. Do we make it to new lows? Maybe, maybe not. But if just even a correction from current levels could be pretty significant, especially if you're a trader, especially if you're more short-term oriented. Longer term, if we don't make a new low and you bought in somewhere in this rebound, you're probably going to be fine. You probably don't need to worry about it. But there is always that potential that things out there in the real economy, things out there in the financial system are worse than the stock market is giving it credit for today. Now, of course, the stock market tried discounting a whole lot of negative news in its collapse in February and March. However, a lot of uncertainty still out there. I think what is curious to me about GTLS, about Chart Industries, is that they serve the medical industry in providing cryogenic equipment that allows the liquefaction of oxygen gas to be put into tanks and to be used in nursing homes or in hospitals. It also provides a similar offering of equipment to the natural gas industry. Now, in order to ship natural gas, if it's not going just through a pipeline, if it's got to go offshore and it's got to go somewhere else, you have to have these LNG terminals, these liquefied natural gas terminals that takes the gas and cools it down so much that it turns into a liquid that it can be then transported in these what are called virtual pipelines, so on ships or on rail or on truck or whatever. And so Chart Industries provides the equipment that can store and hold that. So right now, as we're seeing in the oil market, the natural gas market, there's a glut of supply there as well. So a lot of companies are sending the gas onto tankers and just sending it offshore and just sort of using these tankers as storage. And now Chart Industries provides the technology and the equipment that makes this possible. So not sure, we have this thing where there's this glut in natural gas supply, so we might see production get cut here. But at the same time, people are looking for storage opportunities, things to use in a pinch when everything else is filling up. So maybe some new demand there for some of the things that Chart Industry offers. Maybe we'll see some insight into that in their earnings announcement this morning. Maybe see maybe there's been a real rush of demand for what they offer to the medical industry as well. So be curious to see how that plays out for them. If there's not some type of new demand and new growth opportunities in these spaces for this company, then it might be really hard for this stock to really gain a whole lot of ground here, and it might just sort of wallow around at current levels, maybe somewhere between its recent high and its low back in March. So maybe very short-term bullish, like next couple of days sort of thing, but over the next few months, somewhat bearish to neutral on this stock. I think the broad market will have a lot of say into what this stock does and how much it can or can't do in the next 6 months. So Doug, thank you so much for requesting this stock. Thank you so much for telling me about the tea you're drinking. Very inspired by that. Also got another request for a stock and some more insights to tea that you guys like and how you drink it and what you prefer and even what you're sharing with your family. So pumped about that. I'm looking forward to next week bringing you another good stock idea, or at least good stock insight that can help you in your own trading and your own decisions and kind of give you some of your bearings here for this market. But till next time, remember to click that subscribe button if you like reading tea leaves, you want to hear more about it. There's a little bell icon there. You can click that. That'll give you notifications every time we upload a new video to this channel. So awesome. Glad you were here. Glad you listened. Glad you watched. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and we'll talk soon.